Once upon a time, there was a man by the name of Charles Darwin. This man set about to construct a scientific model that would be tested from that point forward. Controversial from the very moment that it was released to the public until the modern day. The battle against science and certain religious fundamentalists was begun the moment that Darwin produced his work, his magnum opus, on the origin of species. Since then, our understanding of biological evolution has changed and grown throughout time. Challenges that have been presented to it have been every single time overturned. Things that could have disproven it haven't been found. Science is an ongoing process, and we always challenge our ideas in science. The overwhelming amount of evidence for biological evolution makes it akin to a fact. And so, even though in science things are called theory, I'd rather that biological evolution be called a fact. At this point, I do not see any possible hope that any amount of evidence could ever overturn the amount of data that we currently have about biological evolution. Acceptance of biological evolution is insanely widely spread. There's a website that lists nothing but people named Steve that also agree that biological evolution is true. Several different pieces have been written in newspapers throughout time detailing how many percentage or amount of scientists agree with biological evolution. The amount of books that support biological evolution contrasts to the amount of books that are against biological evolution is overwhelming. The amount of peer-reviewed scientific papers that have been published on biological evolution is overwhelming. But if you're a creationist, you want to find any possible way that you can to undermine all of the science that has been done. Why? I don't know. Maybe you don't trust science. Maybe you don't trust the scientists. Maybe you think that every single scientist that agrees with this is simply wrong. That somehow, despite all the evidence for it, they made a mistake. They made an error. They overlooked something. They've allowed some worldview to cloud their judgment and their decision. They are part of some vast conspiracy. It doesn't matter that the amount of scientists that agree with it span different political countries, different religions, different backgrounds, different ideologies. Doesn't matter. Because to you, the creationist, it's all a sham. It's all one big giant lie somehow. That somehow people have bought into. It is the work of Satan himself. Why? Because Satan wants to destroy God, or something like that. There's a rather fun documentary to watch where a comedian takes several creationists on a road trip to try to get them out of thinking that evolution is some vast conspiracy. This comedian has done other similar road trips. He took people that believe in UFOs around. He took people even on a 9/11 road trip at one time. And he did, I think, some other things like this. But this is the one that I usually give to creationists in hopes that they'll see the people on the trip and identify with them and see the cognitive dissonance in action in them, and then maybe better see it in themselves. In 1 Corinthians 8:6 to 8:13, we're given a instruction by somebody to Christians who know a lot of things. A warning to them to not cause their brothers and sisters to stumble. They have knowledge that those new people lack. I think that this also could apply to non-believers as well. Don't be a stumbling block. I've oftentimes quoted 1 Corinthians 8:13 at believers that deny biological evolution and say to them, you are making a stumbling block for me. I cannot, will not reject reality, so therefore I couldn't ever accept your God. If you will just do away with this, then maybe I could. But by making this a thing, I can't ever do that. They tie their belief in God with a denial of a fact of reality, and in doing, ignore what the Bible teaches. They create a stumbling block for those who, as the preacher, teacher in the story would say, you should know better. You do know better, he says. But yet, Christians do not do what their own Bible teaches them to do. Or in this case, not do what their own book tells them to not do. So if you know that denying biological evolution will cause people to not accept God, then maybe you shouldn't deny biological evolution, since it's true. Maybe you're not sure that it's true. Maybe you're not educated on the subject. Fine, okay, I get that. Then go investigate and explore and understand and read books about it. And say, okay, I get it. I understand it now. Now I don't have to have that as a stumbling block for those who don't know as much as I do. Or remain in ignorance and don't even follow your own Bible. How am I supposed to take your religion and your faith seriously when you don't even follow your own Bible? With all that being said, now I turn my attention to the death knell of evolution, where where this guy is going to definitely and forever somehow disprove all the overwhelming evidence for biological evolution in a single video, winning him a Nobel Prize and making him famous beyond all fame ever and stuff. This should be good. One way or the other, it's going to be good. Okay, buckle up. Here we go.
My name is Ya Chao. I want to talk to you today about the death knell of evolution. I have had conversations and debates with many atheists and found that they all think they have good reasoning and strong logics and have already concluded that there is no God.
Oh, come on, this straw man again?
They also believe that we are the result of evolution. But is evolution dependable? Is there any scientific evidence for evolution?
Yes, there is. There's overwhelming evidence for it. Thanks for asking. Well, on to the next video. What do you mean there's more?
Evolution is a theory proposed by Charles Darwin. A theory is something of a conjecture which has not been proven.
So I went ahead and Googled this for you. Theory in science. Scholarly articles for theory in science. What's the scientific theory? Live science. People also ask some other questions, and Wikipedia has an entry. Just a Theory, 7 Misused Science Words in Scientific America, etc., etc., etc. Now, every single one of these things that you'll click will explain to you what scientific theory means. It's almost as if you did zero research in making your video. It's almost as if you're deliberately equivocating the word in order to create a construct straw man that you can attack. It's almost as if you have zero understanding of the things that you're talking about. It's almost as if you're woefully, hopelessly ignorant about these things. It's almost as if you're deliberately lying in order to make your case. Almost as if that is all true. But maybe you're just woefully ignorant and you didn't know how to Google. And so you didn't bother to look up what a theory in science is. Maybe you just didn't think about it and instead looked at some creationist website or something. Maybe you've got your head stuck so far in the sand that it comes out the other end of the earth, loops around, back into your butt, and out your mouth again. Maybe that's the case. If I haven't stressed it enough, you're wrong about what a theory is in science. Go look it up.
Evolution states that all organisms are evolved from non-living things, and that all species are evolved from a single cell. Therefore, its theoretical basis is from simple to complex and from disorder to order. However, the second law of thermodynamics, a proven theory, tells us that in a closed system, it is from order to disorder.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright.
So there's this ball of energy in the sky that we call the sun, and it keeps beaming down energy at us every single day. And yeah, that makes the Earth a non-closed system. You know, just saying, if you looked that up, you might have found out something about reality instead of just, I don't know, making up stuff as you go along.
Some may argue that the Earth is not a closed system. Nonetheless, from our life experience, things are from order to disorder.
It's not something you can just brush away and be like, oh, well, some people will say that it's not a closed system. Yeah, that negates your entire argument. The entire point that you brought up is completely and utterly negated. You'd have to show that the Earth is a closed system for your point to matter, and you didn't, so it doesn't.
For example, if you don't clean your house, it will become a mess shortly.
Not necessarily. If you don't do anything in your house to add or move anything from the cleanliness that you start with, then it will remain clean. Always. So, your argument's invalid. Also, you can clean your house after it gets messy. So, your argument's invalid. Oops. You know, maybe you should stay away from the analogies. You're really bad at them.
Therefore, the evolution theory seems to contradict the proven law. Hence, its dependability is questionable. Is human rationality reliable?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. You know, people can lose their mind and go insane, so their rationality is not rational. If there's a brain injury, you certainly lose some capacity to be able to perceive some of the world, perhaps. So, not always is human rationality reliable. It depends. You are a good example of when rationality goes out the window. In regards to biological evolution, at any rate, you're not rational. your intellectual honesty is bankrupt. Your ability to look up things on Google seems to be absent, and your general ability to make a compelling case against a well-established scientific fact is lacking and missing and gone. Now, the argument that you're going to be making here is one C.S. Lewis made way better than you'll ever hope to make it way back in the day. And it's basically like, well, we can't really trust our brains because if they're just, from monkeys, and then, we can't trust our brains, and so therefore we can't be evolved from monkeys, therefore God. Basically. But he made it better than you did or that I did just there, and we'll get to that next time because I've had it with this nonsense for now, and so I have to stop before I completely lose my mind. In the meantime, I'll just leave this picture of the sun on the screen, and I'll see you in part 4. Well, you'll see me. You won't see me. You'll see things that I put on the screen. That might be me. I don't know. Here comes the sun, the sky is wrong, da 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 da, closest system isn't the earth. That's not how it works, it doesn't know science, oh my word. Here comes the sun, da 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 da, here comes the sun. Da da da, pay me $1,000 to never hear me sing again. Here comes the sun, da 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 da. Like how that joke, da 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 da, finally resolves, da 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 da.
The sun is a deadly